When city botanist Clara Winslow sets out to study alpine wildflowers in the Rocky Mountains, she doesn't expect a blizzard to roll in. Her SUV slides off a narrow dirt road, and with her phone dead and the wind cutting like knives, she spots a faint light through the snow, a cabin. Inside lives Eli Hart, a reclusive mountain man who's traded the noise of civilization for solitude. He's wary of strangers, but when Clara collapses at his door, frostbitten and frightened, his instincts take over. When she wakes by his wood stove, she tries to be polite, insisting she'll sleep in the barn. Eli just shakes his head. Greater than, you wouldn't last 10 minutes out there. You'll sleep next to the fire, next to me, if you want to live. The storm howls outside as she reluctantly agrees, lying stiffly by the hearth. The wind bangs the shutters, and the mountain seems to breathe around them. Over the next 2 days, the storm traps them together. Clara learns Eli isn't just a hermit, he's a former firefighter who came to the mountains after tragedy. He's quiet, careful, but when he talks about the land, there's a light in his eyes she can't look away from. They share coffee thick as tar and biscuits made from nothing but flour and determination. When she helps him gather wood, he laughs softly. Greater than, didn't think a city girl could swing an axe like that. Didn't think a mountain man would let me try, she fires back. As the snow deepens, so does the trust between them. But Clara's radio finally crackles to life, the rescue team will reach her by morning. The thought of leaving brings an ache she can't explain. When the storm breaks, sunlight spills over the frozen peaks. Clara packs her gear, but her heart feels heavier than her backpack. Eli helps her to the clearing where the rescue snowcat waits. Guess this is goodbye, she says softly. He nods, eyes unreadable beneath his beard. Then he presses something into her hand, a small carved wooden flower. Greater than, for your collection, he says. You'll know where to find me if you ever need another. Weeks later, back in her city apartment, Clara can't sleep. The noise, the lights, it all feels wrong. She looks at the carved flower, hears the echo of his steady voice. Greater than, you'll sleep next to me, if you want to live. That night, she books a one-way ticket to Colorado. 3 weeks after the storm, Clara drives the long, winding road back into the Rockies. The city had swallowed her again, lectures, paperwork, endless gray mornings, but none of it felt like home anymore. The mountains had taken something from her and refused to give it back. When she reaches the end of the road, the familiar ridge rises above the pines. Eli's cabin sits just as she remembered, smoke curling gently from the chimney. For a moment, she almost turns the car around, afraid he won't want to see her, afraid he will. Then the door opens. Eli steps out, sleeves rolled, an axe in one hand, his expression unreadable at first, until he sees her. The stillness breaks, his eyes soften. Greater than, didn't figure I'd see you again, he says, voice low as distant thunder. Greater than, I couldn't stay away, she answers. The city felt colder than your blizzard. He chuckles, shaking his head. You always did have a way with words. They fall into step together, no need to fill the silence. The snow has melted in patches, revealing earth rich with new life, shoots of green pushing through the soil. She helps him mend the fence, laughter mingling with the hum of spring. It feels like time has forgotten them. That evening, as the sun sinks behind the peaks, Eli stirs the fire and glances her way. Greater than, you still want the barn? He asks with a faint smile. Clara smiles back, the firelight flickering in her eyes. Greater than, not tonight. He nods, wordless, and they sit side by the hearth. Not as strangers, not as savior and rescued, but as two people who found warmth where they least expected it. Outside, the wind moves softly through the pines, no longer a warning, but a welcome. Would you like me to expand this version into a polished short story, about 3,000–4,000 words, with richer dialogue, full descriptions of the mountain setting, and emotional depth, while keeping it wholesome and cinematic? The weeks turn gentle. The mountains shed their white coats, and the rivers run wild with meltwater. Clara learns the rhythm of the land, how to listen for the creak of ice before it breaks, how to read the sky for rain, how to wake with the sun instead of an alarm. Eli says little, but he watches her quietly as she works beside him, repairing the roof, planting herbs by the window, sketching wildflowers in her journal. For the first time in years, his cabin feels lived in again. One evening, they sit on the porch as the sun dips low, painting the valley gold. A pair of deer move through the meadow below. Clara leans her head against the railing. Greater than, you ever think about leaving? She asks softly. Used to, Eli says. Now I think about staying. Silence stretches between them, warm as the light around them. Clara turns to him, eyes bright with something she's been afraid to name. Greater than, I came here to study what grows after the frost, she whispers. Didn't know I'd find it in myself. He looks at her for a long time, the city girl who became part of the mountain. Then he takes her hand, rough fingers wrapping around hers. Greater than, guess you'll be needing a real roof then, he says with a small smile. I thought this was home, she replies. The wind rises again, brushing her hair across her face. Eli tucks it behind her ear, gentle as the breeze. Inside, the fire burns low, and outside, the stars begin to appear, clear, endless, and steady. The same mountains that nearly took her life now cradle her future. That night, she doesn't say, I'll sleep in the barn. She doesn't have to. She's already home.